On today's episode, we're going to talk about the connection between our mouth and our immune system. So don't go anywhere. Hi, welcome back. I'm so glad you're here. Today, we're going to be talking about our mouth. Now, there's been a lot of talk lately about our microbiome and how important that is. And when we are talking about our microbiome, everyone is talking about our gut. But the truth is, we have several microbiomes, and our second largest microbiome, second only to our gut, lives in our mouth. Our mouth or oral microbiome is actually an exceptionally complex habitat. There are microbes living on the hard surface of our teeth, as well as the soft surfaces of our gums, our palate, and our tongue. Not only do these colonies aid in the digestion of food, they actually help to sustain the health of our entire body. Now, as we get more advances in science, we are not only able to see exactly what is living in our mouth in terms of recognizing or identifying all the different types of microbes, but we are learning more and more every day about what each of their functions is, how they interact and work together, and how they benefit or harm our bodies. And while we still don't know everything about our oral microbiome, we know a lot more than we do about our gut microbiome simply because it is so much easier to access and collect samples. What we know now is there are over 700 types of microbes living in our mouth, including protozoa, fungi, viruses, and bacteria. We now know that this oral microbiome helps aid in the digestion of food and making the nutrients from the food available for our bodies for absorption. It helps to generate energy for our body. It has mechanisms in the controlling of storage of fat on our body. It helps to regulate our metabolism, and it aids our body in processing and detoxifying from environmental chemicals. It is one of our first lines of defense for preventing disease from entering our body. And most importantly for us, it is a key factor in aiding our immune system, helping us to maintain balance between pro-inflammatory and anti-inflammatory processes. As we learn more and more about what is happening in our mouth, studies have shown that there are connections between a myriad of health issues and diseases that are connected to the health of our mouth. Diseases like cancer, chronic inflammation, Alzheimer's and dementia, obesity and diabetes, heart disease, hypertension, even issues in pregnancy like preeclampsia, and respiratory issues like pneumonia and COPD have been linked to poor oral health. Recent research shows that bacteria that live on the back of our tongue are important contributors to nitric oxide production. Now, why is that important? Well, it's important because suboptimal nitric oxide production, or not producing enough of this substance, has been associated with an increased risk of heart disease. And on the other side of that coin, optimal levels of nitric oxide have been connected to a lower risk of heart disease, better endurance during exercise and activity, and improved overall health. So the question becomes, what are some simple things that we can do to nurture and maintain a healthy environment for our oral microbiome? One of what I think is the most important things that you can do is to stay hydrated. Keeping your mouth hydrated allows bacteria the moist environment they need to thrive. And of course, we know that hydration is optimal for our entire body, for every cell in our body, not just for the colonies living in our mouth. Of course, eating a healthy diet is great for our whole body, and you guessed it, it is also great for our oral microbiome. Eating plant based foods are antioxidant rich and anti-inflammatory, and also alkaline, which keeps the pH balance in our mouth at an optimal level for healthy microbes to thrive and support our overall health. Reducing the acid that we expose our mouth to through fruit juices that are laden with sugar, alcoholic beverages, and sodas will support our oral health. Of course, regular brushing and flossing also help to support those microbes. Leaving food particles in our mouth and having plaque buildup actually feeds the microbes that we don't want to become overpopulated, that create an acidic environment and hamper our healthy microbiome's ability to support our overall health. As I mentioned earlier in a previous episode on toxins, choosing your toothpaste carefully will also help support your microbiome. So being aware of what is in your toothpaste and checking for ingredients like sodium fluoride, triclosan, DEA, and SLS, sodium lauryl sulfate, are things that will actually harm your oral microbiome. In the studies that discussed the nitric oxide production in our mouth, they also spoke to avoiding the use of antibacterial mouthwash. I know it is great and leaves that fresh mouth feeling. However, more and more research is showing that antibacterial mouthwash is actually killing those microbes that we need for that nitric oxide production. So in my opinion, there are other ways to get fresh breath. It's just not worth the cost to your health. And I know this has been a long-standing debate, but personally, in all the research that I have looked through and read and absorbed, personally, I think that fluoride is also something you really want to avoid. Now, of course, this can get tricky because we have fluoride added to our tap water. And again, in that toxin episode, as you'll see linked above, I also talked about filtering your water to minimize your exposure to fluoride. I also recommend getting toothpaste that is fluoride free. And while your dentist may not agree with me, when you go, just skip the fluoride rinse at the end. While fluoride can help protect the enamel of your teeth, it is doing harm to your overall oral health in regards to that oral microbiome. Hydroxyapatite is an alternative that can be found in some natural toothpastes that will protect the enamel on your teeth, similar to fluoride, without harming your oral microbiome. And it's actually been used in Japan for decades and has been shown to be as effective as fluoride in protecting your teeth and fighting cavities. Another practice that some people choose to partake in is tongue scraping. Now, it's another one that can kind of be controversial because it's been used in Ayurvedic medicine for decades. And the idea being that the film on your tongue often contains harmful bacteria that you don't necessarily want in your mouth. And by scraping them off your tongue, you are removing them. However, now that we know that there are amazing microbes living on the back of our tongue that are so key in producing nitric oxide, which we know helps our overall health and specifically reduces our risk of heart conditions, it's really your call if you really want to use a tongue scraper or not. Personally, I have chosen not to. I don't think the risk is worth the reward. If I do feel the need to cleanse my tongue, I would at most brush the front area of my tongue with my toothbrush after brushing my teeth. But for me personally, I'm avoiding scraping my tongue because I think that nitric oxide production is so beneficial to my overall health that I'm just not willing to risk that. Another surprising fact I learned in my research was that if you have metal fillings in your mouth, there's actually mercury contained in those. And if they are old and are leaching, that can be harmful not only to your oral microbiome health, but to your overall health, as it can cause heavy metal toxicity. If you do have metal fillings, you may want to have them looked at by your dentist to see if it's possible to have them removed and replaced with ceramic fillings. There are also tests you can get done with a functional medicine doctor where you can do a chelation test, and that will test your body for heavy metals. Not only will it help you see if you are currently ingesting heavy metals, but it will also tell you if you've had previous exposure to any of them, and to help remove them safely from your body. And the last surprising fact I learned was about root canals. And again, this is another one that's pretty controversial. Obviously, dentists and orthodontists believe it's a great solution to not have to lose your tooth. However, more and more research is showing that having a root canal causes chronic inflammation in your mouth and dysbiosis. And dysbiosis is an imbalance of bacteria in our mouth, which means the colonies living there are no longer in harmony. There's a shift, and often what that means is it's an environment where harmful bacteria can take over, creating an imbalance and leading to chronic inflammation. And chronic inflammation in our mouth leads to chronic inflammation in our body. Now, the problem with avoiding root canals is the other options are not really great. It leaves us with having the tooth removed and leaving a hole in our mouth, or possibly looking at getting an implant put in later on, which can be both costly and painful. But I want you to have all the facts so that should you come to a place where you are considering a root canal, at least you know the long-term possible implications, and you can decide what is best for you, your body, and your health. That's it for today. It was quite a mouthful of information. I hope that you took something helpful from this to help you have your best oral health starting today. And until next time, stay healthy.